Well, hello the internet, it's Ghosty, and welcome to episode 56 of Minecraft Creative, in which today I'm going to build a tree. Why? Because I had a giant space that really needed something that I had previously covered with loads of colourful stuff, but because of things I added in the foreground, it then looked unbalanced. So we have to fix that. To begin, I used coarse dirt because it was the one block that it was one of the 3 blocks in my inventory to build a giant pillar. That would kind of tell me if I was kind of getting the height right for this tree. And then I grabbed pale oak, tuff, and andesite, and the plan was to do this out of pale oak and then use those to kind of add a bit of depth and texture to it. It's a very odd shaped tree. I wanted it to kind of curl up and fill part of one area, and then curve down and cover over the pathway. Trying to do this Minecraft build is proving a little interesting. I think I've been working on this area for like a year now. Well, not quite yet, but almost a year. I began the next bit by adding in a bunch of roots. I just wanted to make sure that it made sense that this tree could actually stay upright. I then added in some tuff for texture, and I was trying to use the other types of like bricks that I had to more or less just smooth out the shape so that I also added acacia. I didn't notice that. I wanted to make sure that it had a relatively soft shape and curved into the environment. The point was it was meant to look integrated and not an afterthought. It still doesn't quite look integrated, but I'm sure down the line when my building skills improve a bit more, I will be able to work out something that can help. Obviously this is built into the farmhouse, and I also wanted to make sure it didn't obstruct that because I really like its side profile. So it was trying to add something that from the angle you were going to mostly be seeing this tree at made sense in the environment, and I was like, well, it would maybe make sense that where it's on this kind of mountain bit, it's grown upright, and then because it's really windy, because say a storm's come in, it's kind of just been blown in a direction. And now it looks like this. Or it just kind of grew weird, which is completely possible. I added in loads of leaves going down. Is it raining? No, it's not raining. It's just windy outside. It's supposed to rain, but I don't know if it will. I thought it was going to do a bit earlier than it has. What leaves did I use there? I used... I think it's jungle and then maybe acacia. It might be oak. And I wanted to throw in different leaf textures together to try and, again, add more texture. There wasn't meant to be any shading to it because I was not putting spruce in this. As much as I love spruce, I find the leaves are a bit noisy for what some of these builds are. They're also way too dark. I kept kind of adding until I was happy with it. I'm not like super impressed with this tree, but I'm impressed that I had the guts to actually try and build a tree for once in my life, because I have built a few and they've typically been small or pressed against walls, so I only have to build half a tree. Whereas this one, it's kind of just one long bit coming out and then leaves. I might add another bit at some point. Maybe that'll be the next thing I build. Because it does look a bit just off. There's something about it that's just not quite right. But hey ho, it's a video game and we are learning. That is the point of this area. I'm very happy with my fields of plants I have though. However, having watched, I think it was Thwip's latest video, because I have been like binge watching like as much like building stuff as I can. He had like gaps between the plants. I think I'm going to add some of that in to try and add a different kind of texture. I'll probably do it with the tulips as well because they look a bit weird. And then I had this issue. As I moved back, I discovered that the tree trunk would kind of blend in more than I wanted it to. I first shaped the back up, but then I had the issue of how on earth do I make it so that you can actually see this tree? Because from close up, yeah, sure, it works at a different angle, but if you're over on, say, the section that's eventually going to be a completed military base in Minecraft, it just looks a bit odd. There's basically no trunk and just a giant mass of green. So I added in a few bushes at the bottom to try and blend that up. Then discovered that there was just kind of nothingness under some of this. I forget what the landscape originally looked like, to be honest. I did this to try and fix that kind of fountainy bit there, and then completely forgot what everything looked like because it has been a while since I did that. That is the one issue I have. I will build something, it'll be a while before I do anything else in the area, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's a giant hole. Well, that makes sense. It's like the town we were working on last year, basically that whole thing under there is a hole. Because I tried to level the whole thing to be on one level, which looks really bad in hindsight. Because all the roofs are more or less the same height, which isn't particularly great. It's just, I've learned, I've grown. I then tried to cover up some of the stone on the back wall by using vines. Up close, I'm not a fan of it. Maybe I'll come up with some other way to do it. But it's kind of that compromise of you're not really going to be looking at this wall from close up, whereas from afar you will see it. So it's trying to weigh things up. I apparently stared at this wall for a very long time. There we go. I then kept kind of going back and forth, and I'm trying to do that more of, okay, the build looks fine close up. How does it look from, say, I think that's like, 40 blocks away, maybe further. And just really trying to build everything up. I added some glow lichen, not to try and help it stand out, though it will at night. And then also just to give it a bit of texture. I think maybe part of the issue is the fact that I chose a very grey coloured wood, but I didn't want it to blend in with the house. I mean, obviously it's not right next to the house, but I didn't want it to look similar. Because I like trying to make things look a bit different so that I'm switching up what blocks I build with. I added in some more glow lichen to the side of the tree to try and give it a bit more depth. Because again, I know that you're meant to leave like space between them, but because of the size of the tree, there wasn't masses of space that I could leave between each leaf. So it just looks a little bit bizarre. I'm probably going to try and build some more trees soon enough. I'd love to have like a really dynamic forest built, but yeah, it's gonna be that's the long and short of it. It will be a process to get there. I then added in a couple of bees nests because I figured, well, that adds a pop of colour and kind of helps depict that this is in fact a tree. I think it's still a little odd, but it works. It kind of works. And then I went up the back, added in some more vines because I decided it makes sense to just cover this whole face with vines. I probably should have added some moss instead, and maybe I'm going to go in and fix that. But who knows? That will be something to find out in a future episode, whether or not I fix this. I try not to go back and do too much to old builds, but I'm working on because this was kind of within like the last sort of month that I recorded this. It's fine. I also replaced some of the vines with ferns to try and put in a different texture, and that helped. Not massively from afar, it all just looks kind of green and grey, but up close it kind of stops it looking like you just have a block of vines growing. I do wish like you could have the vines running down the back and then the ferns in the front, without like block stuff being weird. But that's all we have time for today, the internet. So I will see you all again on Wednesday. Goodbye.